Dear friends, welcome to the program Pseudoscience for the Brain Dead. If you love magic, if you believe in Atlantis, or if you think that anybody besides Putin wins the election, you are very welcome to our program. You know, I've been thinking, and I know for sure that aliens read my mind all the time. And I think I was abducted some time ago, and some experiments were conducted on me. My wife thinks I'm an alcoholic, and something should be done about it. But today I have a person who believes me. Please welcome Alexey Kravtsun, well-known UFO specialist.
Thank you very much, Denis.
Alexey, thank you for coming.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for calling.
Do you know anything about the history? When was the first time people learned about UFO?
Actually, the UFO terminology, like identified flying objects, appeared around 1940s, 1950s, when US Air Forces start seeing during the training flight some unknown flying objects. But in reality, if we look back in the history, like in 2040s BC, Chinese reported about some strange angels jumping on a sky with very strange signs and stuff like that. And for example, in 1561 in Nuremberg, in Munich, it was reported by the many thousands of the people observing strange lights which start building the geometrical figures on a sky, making circles, triangles and lines. So it is known for quite a long time.
Great stuff, happens to me all the time. So, do you believe it was all kind of aliens, airships or something?
Absolutely not. And it's actually been quite defended by the scientists that about 99% of all observing of the UFOs was a result of some other cases. Maybe it was some natural situation when clouds create strange forms of looking like ships or something like this. Sometimes it could be the balloons filled up with helium and using by the geophysicists to measure the temperature in the stratosphere. On a big distance, it might look like it is a UFOs. But it could be also a lot of other cases which can be proved that it is some non-UFO and unexplainable things. But we still have a certain percent of the cases which was observed and could not be explained by any possible ways except saying that this was some kind of like an aliens airship.
And how well the UFO was studied?
Very interesting. It was studied, and not just by the individuals who are very interested to know about the UFOs, but also by the government. For example, in 1940s, US government started the project called the Blue Book, which existed up to the 1970s. And the target of this project was first to identify if UFOs really create any hazard, any risk for humans. And the second one is to create a scientific way on evaluation and researches of these reports of the multiple cases that reported by people. In reality, they have reviewed over 12,000 reports on aliens starship observations. Most of it was proved as either it was some made up things by people, or it was some natural cases, or it was some planes or rockets. But there is a certain percent of it which could not be explained by any possible scientific way, because nature, the way what people observed, could not be created by the nature, or it was not made by the humans.
Great, but it was back in the day. Does anybody study this today?
Probably not as much as before. We still have quite a good society of people who meet together and they start collecting the new evidences, but at the same time you might know that we have a lot of information from the 50s, 40s and 60s which is getting discovered, and now it is capable for people to get an access to this. And you know, sometimes these black and white pictures made in 50s and 60s bring more information than the modern pictures we make, because at that time we had less fast flying planes, we had less satellites, etc. So it gives very valuable information for us. So people meet, they review, they study. Unfortunately, I don't believe that we have a lot of interest from the government authorities nowadays about such researches.
Great. Most of the people think that, at least I do, that UFO are aliens from other galaxies. Are there any other explanations?
In reality, there is explanation that UFOs might be from not just the space, it could be from the seabeds. It's very well known that it was observed the thousands of the cases when UFOs get from the sea and fly to the sky. It was a known interesting phenomenon called clickers, when strange sounds is getting reached by the submarines from the sea, when there is nothing there, but they get these constant clicks, which is still cannot be explained. This could be the time travelers, it could be our future generations or very past in ages, some nations which been able to create the time machines. So it still could be a lot of different explanations, but I still believe, yes, we do have some aliens, and it's a time until we discover about where they are from.
Great. So I'm not the only one who believes, right, in the UFO. So you believe that it exists. I believe that it exists. But why they just don't come and establish contact with us?
Yes, it's a very interesting because we believe that we are very smart. We are so developed. We create the satellites and send it to the space. But compared with some other nations existing somewhere in a space, we're probably in a very undeveloped. For example, do we have an interest to set connection with the ants? Because the ants, they also look quite smart. They build this ant hill, they have quite a strong society. No interest, none of us have an interest to do this. And it's just a matter of the time when we grow enough and they will become interested to get in touch with us. Maybe we will see it, maybe our kids will see it, maybe it will be in 1,000 years, but I believe it will happen.
Thank you very much.